Hi, my name is Kate and this is my brand new Booktube channel. Thanks for checking me out, and I'm going to start with a pretty classic new Booktube tag, the Newbie Tag. So the first question in our Newbie Tag is, why did I start this channel? And for me, I just really wanted a place where I could unabashedly talk about books, and also to have like a new creative outlet where I can express myself in a different way than I sort of traditionally do, and really get to just dive deep into my love for reading and books and everything that can be gotten out of that. So our second question is, fun and unique things I can bring to Booktube. Some of the things about me that I guess I don't normally see in most of our other booktubers is that I actually come from a hard science background. It seems to me a lot of booktubers come from a more English degree, design type background, but I have a bachelor's degree in aerospace engineering, and I'm working currently to finish up my master's in aerospace engineering. So I think that'll give me sort of a little bit more of a unique perspective, especially when it comes to some sci-fi books and what's realistic and, things like that. Like you can see, I'm even have my notes for this video on some engineering paper because that's the only paper I have anymore. Also, I am Appalachian, so I grew up in the foothills of the Appalachian Mountains, and I really love reading Appalachian literature and Southern literature, and that's not something that I have really seen a lot of on Booktube, but if you know any great Southern booktubers, link them down below, let me know. What are you most excited about with being on Booktube? And for me, it's really being able to talk and think critically about the books that I'm reading. There have been a lot of books that I have read. Normal People by Sally Rooney is an example that I think of, where I sort of read the book and was like, meh, not really my thing, moving on with my life. And through Booktube, I saw it through a totally new lens with a Marxist reading, and through that, I really got a deeper understanding of the really awesome Easter eggs that Sally Rooney hid in the book. And so that's one of the things I really loved, and I would also like to be able to do that for other people and sort of pick out the things that I loved in a book that someone else might not really pick up. Question number 4 is, why do you love reading? And I have always been a reader, ever since I was a little kid. My mom actually has a whole scrapbook page devoted to the time she found me asleep while reading a book. Here are a couple examples of those photos where I'm just zonked out because I love books so much. It's been a long-standing hobby of mine. But really what I love about it is sort of the escapism. I'm really big into fiction and fantasy because of the escapism and reimagining the world in a different way. Because I really think it's how we find out fundamental truths about the world and grow our knowledge base and understanding as well. And so that's something that even though I've had a singular life experience, I get to sort of understand all these different facets that other people have. Our 5th question is books that got me into reading. So as you can see from the last question, I've always really loved reading, but I remember in 2nd grade, my teacher had, up until that point, the entire Magic Treehouse books collection, and I loved them so much. I think I read every one she had. She probably had 30 or 40 at that time, and I was just I'd finish my assignment, I'd burn through a book. 30 minutes later, I'd get up and grab a new one. I was reading multiple of these a day because I just love them and the story so much. And finally, my teacher was like, hey, Kate, have you tried reading a bigger book? And she handed me, I can't remember what it was, but it was my first non 100-page book. And I just was like, wow, you get so much more story, so much more plot. Look at these characters. I was so enthralled, and I read everything I could get my hands on. I also remember when I was a kid, my mom gave me the Little House on the Prairie books because they were what she really liked as a kid, and I loved almost anything she gave me, and it was so cool to sort of have that common experience with her and be able to talk to her about these books that she had also read when she was a kid. And then there's Harry Potter, of course. I was a huge Harry Potter fan. Our fifth question is, what do you foresee the challenges being with Booktube? And for me, I've never really done a lot of video editing before. I think even in the class projects where we had to do videos, somebody else did the editing. So that's going to be like probably my biggest learning curve. I have a lot of ideas, but actually the nitty-gritty of making the videos will probably be my most challenging aspect. And also I'm currently in graduate school and I'm in the process of writing my thesis. So, you know, I just think that like I'm starting my first novel because this sucker is going to be 100 pages and, you know, maybe 3 people will read it if all members of my committee actually read my thesis. So we'll see. Some additional questions that have been added to the tag over the years are, where do I read? And the answer to that question is pretty much everywhere. I listen to audiobooks, you know, when I'm doing the dishes or driving, or sometimes at work when I'm doing a mindless task. And most fiction I read is like sort of, I've made a little reading nook at my house, and also I read every day before I go to bed. The last question of the newbie tag is, what kind of books do you like to read? And for me, historically, I have read almost exclusively YA fantasy up until probably the last like 2 years. And since then I've really branched out a lot more. I read a lot of sci-fi and adult fantasy. I don't really read a whole lot of YA anymore. I still read a good bit, but it's no longer exclusive. So, and I also read a lot of like feminist nonfiction books, and I read a lot of nonfiction about a lot of the present day issues that I'm really interested in, to try and sort of understand a lot of things better and on a deeper level. Well, thank you for sticking around through my newbie tag. I'm going to try and have some new videos coming out soon. I have several ideas. I'll probably be posting my like August reads pretty soon. And I hope you stick around to check them out. Thanks.